So today we are reviewing the different sentence structures as well as moving forward with the new compound complex sentence type. So let's review the different types of sentences we have learned. So we want to define the following sentence types. So first of all, what is a simple sentence? That's right. It's at least one subject and one verb. Now we know from past experience that it could be SV, SSV, SVV, or SSVV. What about a compound sentence? That's right. It's two independent clauses joined together with a coordinating conjunction, aka fanboys, aka means another known alias, with a fanboys or semicolon. So I, comma, CI, or I, semicolon, I. So again, fanboys, for and nor, but or yet so. So comma, for and nor, but or yet so, or a semicolon. And remember, when we do the semicolon, we think of the comma fanboys, but we type semicolon. And finally, we just learned about complex sentences. So what is a complex sentence? It's one independent and one dependent clause joined together by a subordinating conjunction. So fanboys, coordinating conjunction, and then complex sentences, dependent, it has the subordinating. So because, while, those types of things. Okay, and I will have that in the resources if you need to look at those subordinating conjunctions. So one independent, stand on its own, and one dependent, cannot stand on its own. So both have a subject and verb, or more than one subject verb, but the dependent clause cannot stand on its own. All right, so let's name the four types of formulas so far. And as I mentioned, simple, we've got the subject verb, subject verb verb, subject subject verb, and subject subject verb verb. So SV, SSV, SVV, SSVV. Compound is I, comma, CI, so the independent clause, comma, coordinating conjunction, so fanboys, and then another independent clause, or, that's a misspelling or a typo. It should be a semicolon, not a colon, sorry. I, semicolon, I, so it should look more like a comma here. My apologies. Okay, and then finally the complex, which we just finished, would be ID and D, comma, I. So independent clause followed by a dependent clause, or a dependent clause which has the subordinating conjunction, comma, independent clause. So because it is cold outside, comma, I'm going to put on a winter jacket. All right, so what type of sentence do you think we'll learn next? Here's an example of a paragraph that students may write. So it says, sometimes when we write long sentences, they get so long that they turn into a run-on sentence that just keeps going, but we don't have any punctuation to say the sentence stops here, and we just keep writing and writing without ever stopping, and it gets difficult to understand because the sentence is too long, and now I can't even remember what I was reading about in the first place. Period. Notice I paused a lot of times during that. That's one indicator of if you should have different sentences. If you run out of breath while reading, or when you pause, your sentence is a run-on sentence. Okay, so we are going to learn how can we vary our sentences, especially the compound complex sentences, so that we're not running out of breath. All right, so what is the dictionary definition of a compound sentence? Well, if we look at that, it is just like the name says, 2 independent clauses and 1 dependent clause. So we'll talk about formulas in a little bit. And how do I write a compound complex sentence? Well, think about the formulas for compound and the formulas for complex, and then you put them together, right? So compound complex formulas. So you've got the I comma ci and the I semicolon I for compound, and then you have the D comma I and the ID for complex. You are taking those formulas and putting them together. So an example, let's talk about some example sentences. So first it says, when you are ready, comma, I will call the school, comma, and we will talk to the teacher, period. So we have when, subordinating conjunction, and then we have the and we. Okay, so we've got the D comma I comma C I. Now let's look at the second sentence. Before winter break, comma, my sister made cookies, semicolon. They were delicious. So before, what do we call that? Subordinating conjunction. So D comma I, semicolon I. Okay, so we have a mixture of the different types of sentences. So we have a mixture or a combination, not a mixture, a combination of compound and complex sentences.